Live from San Jose, California, with very obvious pre-recorded B-roll, it's the Elite Hockey Experience Draft Lottery.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Lacey, the Commissioner of the Elite Hockey Experience, and tonight we will finally find out who was the one to lose for Hughes or who was the one who went wacko for Kako. This is the Elite Hockey Experience Draft Lottery 2019 edition. You've been waiting for it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of shtick because it is almost midnight here. I'm going to show you the date right now. It is Wednesday, June 5th, with only seconds to go. It is 11:59 p.m., so it is still June 5th. And yeah, so thank you for your patience through all that. It's been quite a night at trying to get this all set up. I've been working on this for 5.5 hours now, and we're finally ready to go. And now it's stroke of midnight, so I guess it's not June 5th, but just roll with me on this. So, as usual, this evening we will conduct 3 drawings using a weighted lottery system to determine the order of the first 15 selections for the 2019 EHE Entry Draft. The first drawing will decide the team receiving the first overall selection. The second drawing will decide the team receiving the second overall selection, and of course the third drawing will decide the team receiving the third overall selection. The remaining 10 clubs participating, and I'll get to why it's only 10 in a moment, they will be assigned selections 4 through 15 based on inverse order of the regular season point total in 2018-19 of the clubs these picks originally belonged to, because there was some trades to announce this season. Let's get this guy up right here. This random number generator that you all know and love will select 3 numbers ranging from 1 through 1,000. All numbers were assigned to each team at random by random.org, and the same number assignments will be used for each of the 3 drawings. The odds for the first drawing and the percentage of numbers assigned to each team are listed on your screen right now at this moment. The list of the random number lookup chart was posted a couple of weeks back on EliteHockeySim.com. So, now to show you that this is, of course, in good function, showing you 412, turn the volume up a little bit here, 90, and 993, so you really see that it will go all the way up to 1,000 if necessary. I'm going to now clear the results because we want to make sure that those numbers could be drawn again. So, from this point on, the club assigned to the first number drawn will secure the right to the first overall selection in the 2019 EHE Entry Draft. This club will not be eligible in the second and third drawings, and all numbers assigned to this club for the subsequent drawings will be designated as redraw numbers. Similarly, the club assigned to the second non-replicated number, oops, I lost my place there, sorry guys. Second non-replicated number drawn will receive the second overall selection and will not be eligible in the third drawing. All numbers assigned to this club will also be designated as redraw numbers for that third drawing. Please be reminded that the draft lottery determines the order of selection for the first round only. For all subsequent rounds, the order reverts to the original order established by inverse order of regular season and Stanley Cup playoff results. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 trade transactions that everyone should be aware of. The Arizona Coyotes hold the rights to both the Montreal Canadiens and San Jose Sharks first-round picks in the 2019 EHE Entry Draft. The New Jersey Devils hold the rights to the original St. Louis Blues first-round pick in the 2019 EHE Entry Draft, and the St. Louis Blues hold the rights to the Los Angeles Kings first-round pick in the 2019 EHE Entry Draft. You know, I was a little concerned, Sean, when I was putting the odds together for the draft lottery, because I thought you had traded a lottery pick again, or, you know, left yourself without a lottery pick for the second straight year. But I'm glad you at least have the Los Angeles pick to back that up here. And then another intriguing thing, couple more intriguing things before we get started. The Coyotes have a combined 18% chance of winning this lottery this season, or this, tonight. Those are their only 2 picks in the draft, so it's all or nothing here. Obviously, there were some financial difficulties in Arizona, which that logic's not lost on me, given it's the Coyotes. And then on top of all that, the Coyotes still don't have the best chance of winning because the Devils have an extra first-round pick. As I mentioned, they have the Blues first-round pick, which boosts them to a league record 24.5% chance of winning this first overall pick. So let's find out what's going to happen. Anybody have... No, you know what? I'm not going to even take any questions. So, Joe, put your hand down right now because ain't nobody got time for that. Let's get rolling here. So, the first overall selection in this year's draft. I will draw the number right now. 786. 786. So... Okay, so 786. Next pick, second overall selection right now. 602. 602. 602, okay. And the third overall selection. 552. The lottery ball is 552. Okay, so we have 3 unique teams here. And I'm going to throw the numbers back up, the odds back up. It's really late. I'm really tired. Let's throw the odds back up on the screen just so you can be reminded. And let the fun begin. So just as a reminder of the numbers, it is number 782, number 602, incorrect. Is number 786, number 607, and number 552. So those are the 3 balls, 1, 2, and 3. So let's begin with the 15th overall selection in this year's EHE Entry Draft, and it belongs to the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets had an amazing rise there at the end of the season, nearly made the playoffs, and that's how they ended up with 15th overall. Another year, really thought this was going to be your year, Andrew, but at least you do have your farm system up and running. Hats off to you. You knocked off my number 1 overall team in the AHL this season. And I had problems with Greenville all year, and this is why it's important. Nights like tonight are important because you want to build your farm up strong. There are a lot of teams here who are repeat teams in this lottery, and how many years are you gonna go for lottery picks? You got to start winning at some point, but you got to build from your farm out because picking a couple of guys up in free agency and getting a couple top picks is not going to turn your team around. You got to do more than that. So build strong through the draft, build your farm up, and I think Columbus is definitely on their way up. So coming up next, the 14th overall selection in this year's EHE Entry Draft belongs to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto, another team that did rise this season with Joe Bubange as the new GM, new-ish GM. He finished off the last 6 games of last season. But Joe, good season so far, really hung in there as well after the trade deadline. So good on you, man. Going up to the 13th overall pick now, the 13th overall selection belongs to the Winnipeg Jets. Another team that's on the cusp. Did a lot of great things. Ryan Miller had an unbelievable season. I still think that was the best value trade in EHE this season. Nearly got the Jets into the playoffs. And another team that had a good showing in the AHL playoffs just fell a little bit short. But keep building it up, man. For real. So 12th overall selection in this year's draft. And this one belongs to the St. Louis Blues. Now this was Los Angeles' pick originally. It's now St. Louis' pick for the moment. Who knows what other trades there will be between now and the entry draft, which hopefully will be July 22nd, I think it was. I gotta double check. Obviously, make sure if you haven't already mentioned in the forum what date you want the draft to be. This has been up for weeks, so we're going to get this pinpointed finally. Middle of July is what it's looking like, though, third weekend. The 11th overall pick in this year's draft belongs to the Vancouver Canucks. So Vancouver and Travis, actually I think did better than I expected this year, but Vancouver still nevertheless did not make the playoffs, and building up strong, I will say. You picked up a lot of good futures here going forward. So now the 10th overall selection in this year's draft belongs to the Buffalo Sabres. Now, this is the highest draft pick for the Sabres in quite some time, but still not there. Austin Matthews, who was the leading scorer in the league this year, former first overall pick, but Austin Matthews can't do it on his own, so build your team up here, Roberto. No more lottery picks for you, man. It's time to move forward. So, 9th overall now. The 9th overall selection in this year's draft belongs to the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders, who had made the playoffs their first 3 years, I think. 2 out of 3 at least. But now back-to-back years in the lottery here for the Islanders. So, now moving on to the 8th overall selection. Will this be Crazy 8? Will this be an off-the-board team? Could it be the Coyotes? No, it is the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils, one of 2 picks that they will have here in the first round as of right now. This is the original St. Louis pick, and it stays put at 8th overall. Moving up to 7th overall now. Could this be the Coyotes? Or could the Coyotes have jumped up? They won the draft lottery last year. So, if I recall. Oh, right. I swear they did. Oh, geez. Now, again, really late, guys. Anyway, 7th overall pick is the Arizona Coyotes. Now, this was the Sharks' original pick. But it belongs to the Coyotes here, but still another chance for both the Coyotes and the Devils to get top 2 picks in this year's draft, because they've got more to come. So, now the 6th overall selection in this year's EHE Entry Draft belongs to the Florida Panthers. So the Florida Panthers, a team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year and got swept. It was all or nothing. Got a new GM this year. Jeff actually did a very good job. Jeff at one point held a top 3 pick by acquiring Montreal's pick from Mikael Granlund. It was Montreal's first, I think a second, and I think a third for Granlund. That pick ended up getting traded a couple of times, but Florida ends up with the 6th overall selection. So now the 5th overall selection in this year's EHE Entry Draft belongs to the Arizona Coyotes. So the Arizona Coyotes, who had gotten that Montreal pick, and it was looking like a top 3 pick. It went from Montreal to Florida to the Rangers for Elias Lindholm, to the Coyotes for Logan Couture. Somehow Mikael Granlund equals Logan Couture and Elias Lindholm. I don't know. But the Arizona Coyotes fall to the 5th overall pick. And you know what that means. If they fell 2 spots, that means another team fell. And that means that the 4th overall selection in this year's draft belongs to the New Jersey Devils, the other team that had 2 picks in the draft, in the first round, the highest odds ever at 24.5%, and the New Jersey Devils do not get a top 3 spot. That's wild to me. But I know from last year's draft, Cole amassed a ton of picks, used them as trade pieces. He was moving guys all over the place. He built that farm team up strong. Obviously, it didn't work out for Springfield this year, getting swept in the first round, but still a strong nucleus going forward. But this doesn't help, of course. The New Jersey Devils fall from the potentially first overall to the 4th overall pick. So a couple of teams have moved up now, at least. So congratulations to those of you who did. And now let's find out who the 3rd overall selection in this year's EHE Entry Draft goes to. And the 3rd pick belongs to the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that desperately needed some luck here in the draft lottery, and you got it, Tommy. You're a new GM here, and what a way to start off your career in the EHE. You get the 3rd overall pick. You were dealt some sour grapes here by a GM who, another GM in West who just never wanted to make the playoffs. He did make the playoffs last year, but made no attempt to try and salvage his team this year. Faltered in free agency, faltered in the draft, a number of busts. Valeri Nichushkin, for example, I mean, oh boy. But now this is your opportunity, Tommy, to right the ship in Philadelphia, and the 3rd overall pick belongs to you. So now let's go to the 2nd overall pick, because again, I don't like doing it like the NHL where they go from 3 to 1. So the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. Now, could it be Calgary? Could it be Anaheim? It's going to be one of those two. And it belongs to the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames are the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. I said the Coyotes had the 1st overall pick last year, and I was dead wrong. That was 2 years ago, and if I'm still dead wrong, oh my goodness. But Calgary had the 1st overall pick last year, the 2nd overall pick this year, and that means the number 1 overall pick in this year's EHE Entry Draft belongs to the Anaheim Ducks. So everything comes full circle in this league, because if you recall, few years ago, the Anaheim Ducks traded what ended up being the 1st overall pick in this year's in that year's draft for Sam Reinhart. That went to Boston. Boston ended up moving up and getting the 1st overall pick. That may have even been the Austin Matthews one. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I feel like it was. And then they traded Matthews to Buffalo. I'm trying to figure that out. But I remember Buffalo moved up one year and then fell back the next year when they could have been 1st overall. And then Arizona was 1st overall, but now they've fallen back this year. And Calgary moved up, now, so watch out, Steven. Next year, Calgary, it might be your year to fall. But Anaheim, the Anaheim Ducks, Stu Hopkins, you own the 1st overall pick. So that's exciting. I'd say the two teams that probably most desperately needed to move up in Anaheim and Philadelphia, and the cards happen to fall into your favor. I don't know if it's because technically the draft lottery now falls on 2 different dates between June 1st and the now June 6th at 12:18 a.m. But congratulations to those of you who moved up. And let's get your draft lists going because I know I have already put together a list of 247 players, and that's not even including any of the 218 players who are yet to be drafted in real life this year. So you're looking at another 450 to 550 player pool for the draft. And of course, it's only a 5-round draft, so those what you would think are mid-round picks, rounds 4 and 5, those are even valuable. I mean, those are even more valuable. And that's why we do a 5-round draft. Now, of course, coming up here, we've got Seattle coming into the league, and what happened with Vegas will probably happen with Seattle. You'll probably get another 7-round draft here soon, but draft picks are a hot commodity, especially this time of year, so trade wisely, guys. And let me just give you a rundown on what the off-season entails. Of course, trying to get through the playoffs. Right now, we are in round 2 of the playoffs, and once we get to round 3, the conference finals, I expect things to really speed up. I'm probably going to be doing daily sims for both conferences, since once again, we are trying to get things rolling into the off-season. I need the time. And I have a shorter off-season than usual for me because I will be traveling once again like I did last year, but this is a lot more in depth. I will be going back to Europe here in September. So September, hopefully we won't run into the same problems as last off-season where our ratings supplier just without any announcement decided to stop doing it, which meant that I had to create them all from scratch. I will definitely not be doing that again this year, but I'm still trying to figure out what the best option is here. And what makes matters worse is that the basically a stat supplier, someone who everybody relied on to get NHL stats, they're not doing it this year, so it's just another, just another delay. And the same thing with the AHL. Now, I was able myself to pull the AHL stats, so I've already got that all set up for just roster management and whatnot going into next year, and the worst case scenario of needing to spit out some ratings and whatnot. But hopefully we'll have an NHL ratings package. And then the other thing with that is, because like I said, I will be out of commission for a chunk of September, I am trying to push the off-season forward this year rather than back. So the draft obviously is going to be either the weekend of July 21st, 22nd. I'm trying to remember what the Sunday is on, or the Saturday is on that. It's only a month away. 20th and 21st? Oh, geez, I had the dates wrong. So, the 20th or 21st, or the 27th or 28th, those are the weekends that we have been looking at. It's still looking like it's going to be the 20th or the 21st. In fact, it's probably going to be the 20th at this point, which is the Saturday. But you never know. Get your votes in, and we'll see what happens here. But because of, like I was talking about with the ratings and everything, my goal is to have free agency, the ratings be out at the end of August, which is it's a tough task, but I'm really hoping we can make it happen. And as we know, things tend to fall behind every time I do set a schedule, but I'm really hoping we can make this work. And then with free agency would probably begin right at the start of September, so that is out of the way by the time that I leave for Europe on September 22nd. So get ready, another wild off season. Anaheim has the first overall pick in this year's EHE Entry Draft, and you all know what to do now. Trading will, of course, be permitted once the playoffs end, but you can, of course, start finagling some deals and whatnot. I still say stay guarded on your first round picks, because St. Louis traded theirs last year, traded theirs this year. Thankfully, they got one back. But just be careful, guys. So anyway, for the Elite Hockey Experience, I am Kevin Lacey. Thank you all for watching and listening tonight, and you all have a great rest of your week. Playoffs!